What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the Nebraska fan perspective as a part of the Play the Fight Song college football family. Boy, oh boy, it's been a while since we talked to you after a loss. That's a great thing. It wasn't after bowl season. Nebraska drops their first game of the 2025 campaign to Michigan 30-27. Last time I talked to you, I thought they were going to win the football game. But to be honest with you, we'll get into the recap. It's going to be very brief. It's been a while since that game, and it is a new game week. The Michigan State Spartans head into Lincoln, Nebraska this weekend to take on Nebraska for the first time since 2023 when we played in East Lansing, but it's their first trip to Lincoln since 2018. So should be a fun matchup. Nebraska sitting around an 8-point favorite right now, opened as an 11-point favorite. People had all the questions in the world around that. We'll get into that when the time to talk Spartan football comes. But I want to say thank you so much for joining us here on this show. If it's your first time joining us, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video. If you're a Husker fan, we're covering games all year long. We are going to preview the opponent for the coming weeks. You have your thoughts on Nebraska. You take in all the media and different content outlets for Nebraska fans out there, which there are a plethora of. So thanks for stumbling upon the Play the Fight Song college football show. So we're going to tell you all about the opponent, who they got, quarterback, what they want to do, what they've done, who to watch out for, what you're probably going to see. And we're pretty accurate here so far this year. So hopefully we can keep that up, as we've only been about 7 points off on each score prediction. And you also have a chance to win a free cap from our partner over at No Rivals, who we'll talk about later. I'm wearing one right now. We got a few in the background. If you drop your score prediction for the game this weekend in the comments of the YouTube video. So appreciate you being here. With that, let's go into the recap of the Michigan game. This recap is presented by our great partner over at Full Ride Vintage Gear. Check them out today, fullridevintagegear.com, officially licensed with Nebraska. These awesome shirts. We got a blackout game coming up. Go out, get your blackout t-shirt, your black shirts look. Super comfortable, that cotton, soft polyester blend. Check them out today. There's 25 designs to choose from. You can submit a design for any retro shirt you want to see. Awesome guys, Nebraska-based company. Check them out today, fullridevintagegear.com, and use the code PTFS at checkout for free shipping on your order. Awesome dudes, awesome shirt designs, super quality t-shirts. I got another one here, the Sun Bowl throwback. I mean, just some great stuff, especially for Nebraska fans. We like to live in the past through a comfortable t-shirt out there at Memorial Stadium this weekend. Shop fullridevintagegear.com today. Thanks for partnering with us here at Play the Fight Song. My opinion, the game really never felt like Nebraska was going to take advantage and then really, shut something down just because of the way Michigan played it, right? They answered back so many times so early. Nebraska gets it knotted at 10, first play back, 75-yard touchdown run by Justice Haynes, who we previewed and I told you was dangerous and was working on that breakaway speed. He broke away, and the safeties had a bit of a rough day fitting runs and making tackles when necessary. So Michigan took advantage of that and pretty much ran all over Nebraska. They gave up about 300 yards on the ground. Felt like 500 as a fan, and it just never felt like, to me, let me know what you think about the Michigan game in the comments, that Nebraska really stood a chance in that game. Like, it never felt like we were going to flip the tide and win that somehow, which sucks. But there was a scenario on the non-negative side where I'd seen a Nebraska team come out and play like that and get blown out by 30 points with the way that game went, especially the way they could run the ball and slow the game down and keep our offense off the field. I also think there's a lot of narratives going around about the quarterback position and Dylan Raiola. First of all, I don't know how tired everybody else is about the Patrick Mahomes comparison, like outside of, you're going to get the one graphic a game about the way that they look. But people like national coverage of college football completely checking out on a kid because he jumps towards the fans during a game and he pulls up his pants a certain way. So that's a story for a different day. But I thought he played well. I think if you're out there, and there's a few, and it's far between, but there are some accounts out there asking for a TJ Lateef appearance and things like that. Like, people, he was 30 for 41 for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns against a defense that front seven consistently was within the first round of the NFL draft. So I don't think it's a Dylan problem by any means. I've also heard takes on Dylan that he's never going to be the game changer. And there's about a 3% of me that agrees with that. He just, I think it's the running ability and what we had with Martinez, both Martinez's, to be honest, but Adrian so long, for his ability to extend plays and run for a first down here and there. But you take what you can get. We haven't had a quarterback that can throw the ball like this, which is why Nebraska's top of college football and within the Big Ten Conference in passing like Dylan Raiola in quite some time. So you kind of take what you get, right? It's just a little bit different look than what we're used to. And he's definitely making our offense better. And if you don't think that, I would suggest you click off the video immediately. So no hate on Dylan Raiola. I think the problems were and came from what the nightmares we talked about in the pregame, right? In the preview last week. We didn't get home enough. We didn't get to Underwood enough. I thought the pass defense was fine, right? 12 for 22. His stat line wasn't very impressive, but it didn't need to be when you can say hut and turn around and give the ball off and get 8 to 9 a carry and then bust off a 75-yard touchdown run, a couple of long touchdown runs, and both running backs really hurt us. Jordan Marshall was equally as good as Justice Haynes, in my opinion. The O-line struggled. Dylan did those stats that I just listed while getting sacked 7 times. That's like, I mean, Shadur would have been in the press conference just ripping him. I think we'll see an improvement. I think there's, an extra egg in the basket with Donnie Raiola being legitimately Dylan's uncle. Like, it maybe keep your nephew upright, especially with the goals he has for the end of his football career. But it's not like the end of the world, in my opinion. It was a close loss, which we've been through before, right? That should just be numb bouncing off of you. But you saw some good things, a lot to clean up. It's all the same things you've heard from the coaching staff and other outlets of media all week long. But I think this is a good opportunity for the fan base to really get an idea of Big Ten play in the upcoming schedule about where Nebraska can be. So let's leave the Michigan game there and let's talk Spartan football. Let's talk this week 6 of college football already. We're reaching the halfway point, which feels insane to say. But let's take a break. Let's hit the subscribe button. If you haven't, hit the like button on the video. Drop your score prediction before I get into my preview if you feel super good about what you know about Michigan State already. Or you can wait till the end because I'm about to share quite a bit of information here on the Spartans. This game, big-time game for Nebraska, right? 3 o'clock. Weather should be all right. Still kind of warm here in the Lincoln area. And for what Michigan State wants to do, I think that's why the line, Vegas-wise, is where it's at. It's opened at 11.5. You saw the tweets, and I'm sure somebody texted you, why is this 11.5? Like, we just lost to Michigan. It's a matchup nightmare on paper for Michigan State. And I'm sure the computer punched out the same thing. It really doesn't fit what Michigan State's done well this year to beat Nebraska, especially on the road where you're getting an extra 2.5, 3 points probably for traveling out and playing in Lincoln. So I think the line's in a good spot at 8.5. I think you're going to see a lot of early bettors on Michigan State. Maybe the line swings back, or it could be the opposite where you have the Sharps come in at the end and really move that line in the Spartans' direction if people like Nebraska by 2 scores. I'll give my score prediction at the end, but I don't think the line's in a bad spot just because on paper, I think the matchup is a nightmare for Michigan State. Let's start it off by looking at the all-time series. The all-time series, 9-4 in favor of Nebraska. That includes some games that we probably should have lost and some games that we absolutely dominated them back when Nick Saban was a part of Michigan State. He got beat by Nebraska twice in a couple of drubbings. A fun fact, just for the Husker fan to maybe share or spew out there on social media to really start getting uproars out of random people. Dabo Swinney and Nick Saban 0-3 all-time against Nebraska. Just saying. And those 2 losses for Nick Saban came in the Michigan State times, and Nebraska was through their most dominant stretch of college football in that history. Last win was that 9-6 game in 2018 against the Spartans. That was with Scott Frost in that ugly game, the fluttering kick in the light snow to beat the Spartans. That was the last time we beat them. We had a few years without matchups, so it's not like it's been a consistent losing streak to them, but the last matchup was in 2023, that 2017 game, Harburg playing quarterback. He had that long scramble at the end. Really a game that I felt like Nebraska could have won back then. And I feel even better with our chances and talent that we have out there now, I'll tell you that, because Harburg, the starting quarterback in that game, is playing tight end, people. It's quite a different look on offense for Nebraska and a lot more experience rolling around, to be honest with you. So that is the look as a whole. Nebraska still retains a winning record against the Spartans, even through our worst stretch in school history. Michigan State this year, under Jonathan Smith, who is a second-year head coach they brought in from Oregon State. Really, really good coach, really, really good offensive mind. You can see on the screen kind of his coaching history. He's always been around quarterbacks, always been around the offense, and he can scheme a lot of things open. He's damn good, and he built a hell of a program at Oregon State, his alma mater, where he played quarterback really well for the Beavers a long time ago, back when we were dominating college football. I think the move to Michigan State was a strict business move based upon where Oregon State is today. I mean, you kind of look at the Pac-12 that they're going to be in. It's a group of 5 conference with an extension, but they got him out of his alma mater. So he obviously wants to be in the situation in the bigger spotlight. He's a hell of a coach. They're 3-1 this season. They got wins over Western Michigan, Boston College in double overtime thanks to a 2-point conversion against Youngstown State, which they still gave up 24 points. And then they lost 2 weeks ago to USC 45-31 with that explosive offense under Lincoln Riley. Then they're on a bye week. So both teams coming off a bye. And obviously a situation that doesn't happen often, but with Nebraska fans' PTSD, which we always talk about, we probably don't feel great about the Huskers coming off a bye just because in the recent history, we haven't been good. Point blank, period. Back to Jonathan Smith, though, 2022 Pac-12 co-coach of the year. People don't give him enough credit for this, but back in his time of Oregon State, that was with DJ Uiagalelei. He led him to a career high in passing yards. He had 2,600 passing yards in that season, to over 219 passing yards a game. And you may say, well, he was a good player and it was the Pac-12. That's just what you do. People, that DJ moved to Florida State. I'm not sure if you saw him play quarterback there. He couldn't throw the ball very well. So the scheme must have been pretty good. And maybe he should be given a little bit more credit for the success DJU had at Oregon State. The Beavers were really good on offense that year in 2022 as well. Averaged 33.8 points per game. And you're going to see pretty similar numbers on paper for the Spartans to start the 2025 campaign. But he went 5-7 last year, just missed a bowl game. He was the first Michigan State head coach and one of the only to start 3-0 in his first year. So they had some early success, kind of fell off in the back half of the conference, but had some impressive wins against a team like Iowa, which in that case, they were coming off a bye as well. They pretty much took it to the Hawks and put up 32 points against the Phil Parker defense last year. So you got to have some confidence in their offense coming into this week. I definitely think it's another test week for the Black Shirts, but it's a little bit more in favor of what we've seen success for this year. And I'm pretty sure you can make the guess at what I'm getting at there. Overall on their offense, before we get into individual players, decent to start the year. 32 points a game, ranks them top 40 in the country, 350 yards, which that's kind of on the back half there with these skewed numbers early in the season against, those ranked on FCS matchups. But pretty bad on third down. They haven't been able to convert third downs very well, and they haven't gone forward on fourth much this year. But you're going to see an offense that can sling it around, has the ability to, doesn't really want to, kind of wants to establish things on the ground in a Big Ten fashion. So it's kind of an even mix over what they want to do versus what they pretty much had to do in a game that they dropped against USC. At the quarterback position, this guy's good. Everybody knows the name. Now third-year college football, Aiden Childs, the Oregon State transfer, came over with Jonathan Smith from the Pac-12. Starting to get a little experience under him, man. He's got decision-making issues kind of being ironed out still, and it looks better as of this year. 9 touchdowns, 1 pick, as you can see on the screen. Really good on the run. Similar to what I talked about last week with Bryce Underwood, where they will schematically set him up to roll out and make throws. And he can still do it. He's got a cannon of an arm, and he's beat teams downfield pretty often on those extended rollout plays. And their wide receiving core, which we'll get into, has done a really good job of extending plays and just kind of creating chaos. And that's really what Aiden Childs is good at. He's elusive in open space. He can run the football. You're not going to see as many designed runs as you would probably expect with a quarterback of his caliber. He's just not the build to withstand 20 hits a game in the Big Ten, and that's perfectly fine because they don't need to. But he's been really good this year. 70% of his passes completed. He's run the ball 39 times. A lot of those not designed. Some have extended. Some of them are. And 154 yards rushing. He scored on a nice play against USC where he made a nice spin move off to kind of a broken play. So you get Michigan State in the end zone in that one if you can go back and watch it. But hell of a quarterback. He can beat you downfield. He's got some options to do so, which we'll get into. But definitely of note, you got to get to him and you got to hit him because he can make you pay if you give him enough time. And another test week for the Black Shirts in that area. At the running back position, this is really what they want to do. Michigan State runs the ball 55% of the time. 40, whatever the other number is, right, goes to passing. It's okay. I mean, this is a good backfield. It's okay. It's not like a Big Ten note, right, where they're going to be at the top of the running back list. But Mekhi Frazier's been good for the group so far to start this year. 57 carries, 267 yards, 4.7 average on those carries with only 2 scores. So he's been limited in that area. But this is a Big Ten back, people. 5'10", 218 pounds. He's got that, what we always reference to, he's got that bowling ball build. He's going to run through you rather than juke you out. He's explosive through the hole on those RPO looks. So if they have that slow mesh style look through their offense, which you will see, he is pretty explosive through those holes to get 4 or 5 yards in mid to late situations within a drive for this offense. You have to wrap up. I think that's priority number one when it comes to tackling Frazier, just because of the way he runs and the way he's built, is our safeties have to take a massive step forward into getting guys down off of first contact. We missed a couple of one-on-one tackles last week that really killed and opened up Michigan drives. And Mekhi Frazier is the type of player that if he gets in open space or if you get him in a one-on-one scenario, he will run over you. So we got to wrap up and get him down early. He's not an explosive player like with that breakaway speed that we saw from Justice Haynes or Andrew Marshall, really. Longest rush of the year is only 28 yards. So they really use him in situations to get first downs on 2nd and 5. He's good at extending plays in that scenario. But 3rd and 3, don't be shocked if you see an RPO look where they give the ball to Frazier with a little bit of momentum heading towards the line of scrimmage. On the outside, this is where we probably need to talk the most about this Michigan State team, where they find success on offense, where those 32 points a game have really come from. And that's because of their wide receiver room. It's good. Nick Marsh comes back this year. Sophomore now, 18 receptions, 222 yards already for a 12.3 average and already 3 scores. So he's not the leading receiver in the room, which we'll get into, but he's definitely their number one target as he was last year. He put up similar numbers to what Jeremiah Smith did last year, and it kind of went under the radar. Hell of a player. Tall, lengthy guy, going to be very successful in the Big Ten. Whether or not that's at Michigan State, I don't know. I'm not going to accuse them of getting him out, transferring out, but hell of a player, and he's a big part of their offense and what they want to do through the RPO game and downfield passing, is they want to emphasize getting him the ball. This is USC's Mekhi Lemon. This is Ohio State's Jeremiah Smith. They're going to target Marsh, and they're going to do it often. On the opposite side, kind of an unknown name so far in college football, but he should be more known. Omari Kelly, the Middle Tennessee State transfer, comes in this year. He's their leading wide receiver right now. Had a massive game against USC, kind of inflated because of a late touchdown in that game, but a hell of a receiver nonetheless. 21 receptions, 317 yards, 15.1 average per catch, and then only 1 score on the year, which came last week on that bomb late in the game, or 2 weeks ago against USC. They also have a couple of non-pictured options that are good. Krishan McCray has been awesome as an extended play guy. He will be targeted as that middle route in the rollout or looks that we're going to see from Childs and the Jonathan Smith offense. Michael Masunas, he is their tight end. He's been pretty good too. You're going to see him a lot if Michigan State gets down on the goal line. They kind of show this awesome look, which I loved, where it looks like a push setup where they're going to put him on right on the quarterback's ass, and they'll play action, roll him out, and get him the ball and let his big body make a play against the DB that had to go out with him. So they really do have some awesome schemes that we're going to see this weekend that we're going to have to limit and do a good job of it all day long to keep them off the scoreboard. The offensive line, before we get into the defense, has been decent. They've been okay, I guess, at best. 10 sacks on the year given up to Childs for a loss of, I think it was 80 yards or so. So it's not easy to get Childs down. So you got to have some pretty blown offensive line assets and some good blitz looks. So I think we're going to get more blitz looks this week from John Butler's group and the Black Shirts. I think they got to get home. They know what they struggled with and what they gave up. And I really think that they're going to get after Childs a few times here and there this week, and that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I think building some confidence for those linebackers. I think Marquise Watson-Trent needs to step up a little bit. McCullough's been good, but he had a big missed tackle last week and a nice sack on Bryce Underwood. And then up front, Van Poppel's really got to step up. I mean, I get it. He's replacing big shoes with Ty and Nash, but plugging the run game and just kind of creating that, taking up a couple of guys to let somebody free rush, and then a guy like a James Williams. I know, don't hate me, don't comment. I understand where we're at with James Williams. Letting a guy like him get to the quarterback helps a lot. So Van Poppel's really got to plug the middle better, along with Elijah Judy, who's played pretty decent against Michigan, in my opinion. But that is the look at their offense. There's a test for the Black Shirts here. I really think that they've got to limit the run game. They've got to make tackles. They have to wrap up, and they can find success if they can get Michigan State off the field and get our offense back on the field, because Nebraska's going to have some opportunities to score. Let's go into that. Let's go into the defense, the Spartan defense. I want to highlight one guy as we get into them. But before, just the overall look at them, they're typically going to have 4 on the line. It's pretty much 3 down linemen and then 1 linebacker on either side or both. And they will mix looks from that setup. They're going to be beat downfield a few times in the game, in my opinion. They like to keep their safeties tight to the line, and they got beat a few times against USC. So maybe that's something they've worked on through the bye week and fixed. But they got beat a few times deep by routes and schemes by USC to really hold those safeties down and let a guy get open up top. But if they didn't fix that, and that's what they want to establish as a defense, then we're going to see some downfield passes this week. And kind of people have been waiting on that from Dylan Raiola, and teams have really schematically went against that with 2 high safeties. So we'll see what comes of their bye week adjustments. But I think there's going to be opportunities for Nebraska to throw the ball downfield, because this team's gotten beat by him, and they've gotten beat by him often. Obviously, everybody knows by now, passing defense is not good. It hasn't been good. They have a lot of new cornerbacks. Their safeties, they returned a few really good players, some players that have actually played Nebraska before in that 2023 matchup. But at cornerback, they brought in some transfers. They have some freshmen, and they've been getting exposed like freshmen early in the season this year. So you're going to look for, they're going to really hope. Our D-line is their defensive backs, right? Like, both teams have had some defensive struggles. Ours has been stopping the run and getting to the quarterback. Theirs has been getting to the quarterback and pretty much stopping any pass, especially on third down, as they've been horrible in pass coverage when it comes to opposing teams' third down. So we will see if Dana's can scheme something up for that. Like, I think there's going to be opportunities for mesh looks to really extend plays and get Raiola's stats up there, because I think he'll have a hell of a week if everything goes according to plan and what it looks like this Michigan State team really struggles with on paper. The one highlighted player here I want to talk about, Jordan Hall, hell of a guy, hell of a player, super fast, super athletic, big, 6'3", 238-pound junior. He's in a spot for Michigan State, and I hope Spartan fans can agree if they're watching this, where he had to step in for a Cal Holiday, who felt like he played college football for 7 years, but he had to step in for a Cal Holiday and a Jordan Turner loss to graduation and play a big role for what Michigan State has found success in recent history on defense. And he's done so far. 30 tackles, 16 of them solo, 2 sacks already as a linebacker, and a forced fumble. So he's been a force on this defense, and the highlighted player. He will make an impact, especially in the running game, because I think on the outside of things, outside of the passing game, which we know Nebraska has a little bit of a slight advantage on paper here, is I think Nebraska can use the running game and the outside zone style in that Barney on the sweep style. USC had a lot of success running Mekhi Lemon on sweeps, and where we've seen Barney in that scheme before. So I think we're going to get those looks. And Michigan State struggle with him, but Jordan Hall's a guy that if they found success in situations like that, he's been in the play and in the mix a lot. They also brought in a few D-line transfers. Their D-line's not bad. Let me say that. They haven't given up a ton on the ground to teams, but they brought in a couple of transfers that are pretty good players. They brought in a Florida State transfer. I'm blanking on the name. I should have written it down, but somebody in the comments can help me out. Big player, big time dude. And he recovered a fumble against USC last week, but they have good D linemen. They just struggled to get the quarterback. I know Jordan Turner, I think, was one of the names, or Jamal Turner was one of the names that I think on their D line that has been pretty decent for them this year, but they've struggled getting to the quarterback overall, which we'll get into. And it hasn't been the numbers that they've wanted to see, but this defense is few and far between the no-fly zone D'Antonio eras that Michigan State fans have hoped for. If you want another outside perspective on Michigan State, and this was preseason, go back. I did an interview with Brian Lewerke, the former Michigan State quarterback, on Michigan State in the preseason. Awesome podcast. You Are the Program podcast. They are great guys, good takes, former football players. They can give you a little bit more insight on the X's O's and now are turned into fans. So great show. Check that out. That is streaming on our YouTube under videos. Just scroll back down. It was in the off season. So there's another deeper look with a fan of Michigan State and a former quarterback streaming now as well on our channel. So check that one out. But overall, their defense, take a look at them as a whole and where they rank on the country and why I think the matchup and line is in favor of the Huskers. This Spartan defense has struggled and in various areas. They're giving up 30 6.3 points a game. That ranks the 93rd out of 136 teams in college football. They're giving up 400 yards, which is 78th, which is kind of that middle of the pack, but there are inflated numbers out there of what teams are giving up on the back half before they start conference play. But they've struggled. They 270 passing yards per game and 128 on the ground. That's why I said their ground defense isn't bad. Up front, they haven't been terrible when it comes to stopping the run. It looks like their pass rush has taken a step back because they've kind of been stagnant and not giving up those big runs, but they did give up a couple of chunk runs to USC last week. So I think Nebraska will have a couple of those, but Nebraska has to be better on the ground anyway. They have only posted 6 sacks. That's what I'm talking about. They've played 4 games, people. It should be higher than 6 sacks. And I feel like Nebraska's numbers are a little bit down too compared to what we're used to. But to put that in perspective, last week, Dillon got sacked 7 times in one game. And then through 4 games, this Michigan State defense only has 6. Opponent yards per play, 6.1, a little bit higher than what Nebraska averages at the moment. That ranks them 100th in that category in college football for the Michigan State defense. So there is areas where Nebraska can expose this defense. I think it's the short passing game. I think Raiola with those Lindenmeyer out routes. Granted, he needs to make the slow read. I think the recipe is out there for Nebraska. I think it's to rush the hell out of Dylan Raiola with what we saw from our O-line last week. And he's going to make his mistakes. And he's going to go down because he's not that elusive in the pocket. He did a couple of good jobs of extending plays and getting outside of the pocket and making a throw downfield. But the recipe kind of came out last week, which really hurts Nebraska. So do not be shocked when Michigan brings 8 pretty early in this game to try and get ahead on the road in the spot that they're in. So that is really what I think is going to happen from this Michigan State defense. I think they're going to rush the hell out of Dylan Raiola. And I think we're going to have to scheme things up, whether it's not for those downfield passes, which will come throughout the game. But I think early it's going to have to be those get Emmett out going wide, get Lindenmeyer on some curls or Harburg, whichever one you favor. I think Lindenmeyer's a stud. But I think Key and Hunter, those guys got to be on slants, getting screen passes out to Barney, let him play in open space. But keeping Dillon upright early, I think will really get this Michigan State defense off plan for what they want to do. Overall, where do I think Nebraska's at? What do I think is going to happen in the game? My score prediction, which has been very close, so hopefully you're somewhere near me. This Nebraska team should win this football game. And I know we're now on game 5, and you're going to be like, this is a Nebraska fan perspective. This guy's going to pick Nebraska to win. I have picked Nebraska to lose before on this show, quite a few times, actually. So I try and be realistic with it, but I do have Nebraska winning this football game. It's a little bit of a shocker, right? Not for people, but they do have things to figure out. I think Nebraska has to be better within the 5 yards and in. I think Vincent Genatone can be an option for that. Harburg, screw it. Put him back at running back and let him run full speed into somebody. He loves to do that anyway, even if he doesn't have to. But Raiola's got to stay upright. We've got to make the short passes. On defense, we have to wrap up. They're built to break off tackles, and they have guys in open space. They will beat us in the screen game if we don't set up correctly defensively. If we sag off, Nick Marsh will kill us. So there's a lot of things that have to go right for Nebraska, but I feel like they're manageable things, especially through a bye week with the staff that we have now. So I think Nebraska's going to get it done. I got the Huskers winning in Lincoln this week, 34-20. They're going to give up their points. I think Michigan has too much talent for Nebraska to give up any less than 17, in my opinion. I think Michigan State gets to 20. They're really good in special teams, too, and flipping the field. So I think that benefits Michigan State a little bit, too. Not that we haven't been. I think Archie's going to do an awesome job. But just in this scenario, I think Michigan State gets to 20, but I think Nebraska gets to 34. And I could be more. I think 34 is kind of a lenient. I hope Michigan State fans don't hate me after watching this. And I hope I did a good job breaking down your team. Let me know. But I think Nebraska gets it done this week, especially throwing the ball. I think Dillon has been so good at completing the passes and making decisions so far this year that he's going to, if they want to call him the check down gauntlet or check down master this week, so be it. That's what's going to lead Nebraska to a win, in my opinion, off of the recipe that Michigan just tried to give the rest of college football and what Michigan State has struggled with all year long. Getting the rushing game going is obviously a priority for the rest of Big Ten play, but to win this football game, it doesn't have to be exceptional. It just has to be enough to not let Michigan State sit in dime coverage all day. So I think Nebraska gets it done. Let me know in the comments what your score prediction is. If you do get it on the nose, which you've already had a winner this year. So we already had somebody guess it correct. You get a free No Rivals cap, which from our great partner at No Rivals, shopnorivals.com. Use the code PTFS at checkout for free shipping on your order today. They have awesome Nebraska hats, 24 designs, I believe it is. So go check them out, shopnorivals.com. Use the code PTFS at any of the Nebraska hats that you love. Awesome company. They're doing great things in the college space. Follow along with them and use that code every time you check out for free shipping anywhere you are. Shout out No Rivals. We appreciate you joining us. We'll see you next week. We're going to recap this game, and then we will preview the next matchup, last home game Memorial for a little bit. So let's enjoy it. Let's be loud. We'll see you next week. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. We love you. Go Big Red.